Good morning. Don in London, January 13th, 2009, Tuesday morning, around about 8:40, nearly. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addiction, alcohol, my behaviour. Well, it went all over the place actually towards the end, but in addiction the behaviour is probably very, very obsessive and self-oriented. Trying to find my words this morning. I need to focus, so the best way of me focusing right now is to share about the Fellowship of AA, that's Alcoholics Anonymous, which keeps me sober one day at a time. And at meetings we have this particular preamble which is said at every meeting, and it slows us down and settles us down into the moment of now, and hopefully it will settle me down too. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And for the last few years I think that's been pretty much where I've been. What about sobriety? What's it like a day at a time? Well, it's like, I guess, normal life can be, as normal people have lives or living. As much as it can be normal, I found that normal is quite extraordinary, that without a drink inside me I seem to face most problems most days okay, and find solutions. And know something about myself. I need not take a drink. I don't have to drink anymore to take the edge off what is going on in my life. And Tuesday mornings, when it's dull and awful outside with a bit of rain, I don't know what to say really. I think my head may be a bit foggy, and part of the fog is not knowing. And I guess what the program helps me do is deal with not knowing the answers to all my problems today. I only need to keep one thing in mind, and that's to be sober, and that I'm powerless over alcohol. If I take a drink, my life will definitely become unmanageable, because I'll be back in the obsession of drink. And what's been helping me this morning, the Daily Reflections book, part of AA literature. This book also, As Bill Sees It. Both are daily reading books, so you can take a daily reading or thought for the day, and then focus on that and try and make some sense of what is going on. And the other one I use quite frequently is a sort of study book, I guess. It's this one, the blue one here, 12 by 12, the 12 steps and 12 traditions. And I'll talk about the big book of AA tomorrow probably, but the big blue book, which I haven't talked about at all this January, but is all very, very central to everything AA. The big blue book has most of the answers to the 12 steps that are suggested to keep us sober on a daily basis. And it's a 12-step action program. So we can't think it and be okay. We can't objectively try and understand it and then do it. We have to live it and see what these steps do when we put them into action. So January is really about step one, powerless over alcohol and life is unmanageable. And in this blue one, I'll just read the first paragraph to give you some idea of what newcomers face. And we've got quite a lot of newcomers around at the moment, because after the Christmas and New Year's, a lot of people recognise their problem with alcohol and pop in to see us in January, and some stay around for a little while, and many think, oh, it's too hard, I don't want to do that, I'll go out and have another few drinks. And that's not their fault, by the way. It's just that what is on offer is quite the opposite of what somebody in addiction does. In addiction you take your substance and you do your behaviour, and in recovery you stop using the substance and you change your behaviour. It's that simple. Yet we can all fall back on a daily basis into old behaviour, and my head has been saying all sorts of weird things to me this morning about how I am in my relationship with my girlfriend, and I don't know, and the answer is not to know is a good thing. But anyway, coming back to this book, chapter 1 or step 1, powerless over people, places and things. I need to remember that. And it says here, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Who cares to admit complete defeat? Practically no one. Of course. Every natural instinct cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness. It is truly awful to admit that, glass in hand, we have walked our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it from us. No other kind of bankruptcy is like this one. Alcohol now becomes the rapacious creditor, bleeds us of all self-sufficiency and all will to resist its demands. Once this stark fact is accepted, our bankruptcy as going human concerns is complete. And I guess, the idea of bankruptcy, that we're not morally, because I think a lot of us do keep our moral code, but we break it in some way or other. And the moral code is really about being open, honest and willing to see life as it is and make the best of it in good conscience. So with drink inside us, we've lost the plot a lot of the time. And even though we might not drink during the day, the stress and strain of living in modern life can make us want to get to the pub as fast as we can, straight after work, or worse, when we're really hooked, isolated at home, and drinking to oblivion. And once we've got to oblivion, what do? We crash out, wake up, and start the whole process over again. How long did I do that? Far too long. And, these days, what I try and do is keep my head above water, out of the ocean of alcohol, and on the lifeboat of AA. Trouble is, though, we all tend to dive back in from time to time. We have a relapse, and we recognise immediately, as soon as we take that first drink, that we're not sober anymore. And getting back after a relapse is very difficult. And it took me a few years to get to know and understand this, that I've got more going for me without a drink inside me than I have with one inside me. It would probably kill me now. I have other ailments which would actually make drinking more hazardous. I mean, I don't know how more hazardous it could have got. And anyway, coming to the daily reading for today from the Daily Reflections, it says it doesn't happen overnight. And as it took me 35 years to get into this problem, no, not 35. It was the first drink which did the damage. It changed my outlook. Anyway, we are not cured of alcoholism. We have what we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. That's from the AA Big Book, page 85. The most common alcoholic fantasy seems to be, if I just don't drink, everything will be all right. Once the fog has cleared, I saw for the first time the mess of my life. I had a family, work, financial and legal problems. I was hung up on old religious ideas. There were sides of my character to which I was inclined to stay blind, because they easily could have convinced me that I was hopeless and pushed me toward escape again. The Big Book guided me in resolving all of my problems, but it didn't happen overnight, and certainly not automatically, with no effort on my part. I need always to recognise God's mercy and blessings that shine through any problem I have to face. And, that's quite a hard lot. It's a hard task to take on board, that if you don't drink you can solve all your problems. And the answer is you can't solve them all in one day, but you can resolve to solve your problems with a little help from other people. And I guess the most important thing we learn as we come out of isolation, where self-obsession has run riot, that the very idea that we need some help and support is really the challenge and also the awakening we have. It's almost like a spiritual gift. That is, the reality of now, the truth of now, is that we need as much help as we can muster from our nearest and dearest and from the fellowship of AA, often, just to keep sober. And then we can work on life's problems a day at a time. I'm nearly out of time. I may do another one just to cover the As Bill Sees It and more about my story at the moment. But for now, it's finding serenity through knowing those things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, one day at a time.